Hello everyone, welcome back to Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo. I'm loving over here doing response videos, so we're going to do another one. The video in question comes from Financial Els. We might have a second video, it depends on how long this one takes, with the tweet reading $120,000 combined household income and can barely afford groceries. At the moment, many of you will undoubtedly seen all over social media, or if you're in America, through your own grocery stores, the price of eggs has gone through the roof. Now we in the UK can relate to this, except for one minor key difference. Nowhere has any sodding eggs. So it's not that they're too expensive, it's just we can't find any. Unless you go to a local market on a Saturday and then there's an abundance of them. So let's now go through the video in question and try and work out whether it's because of the cost of living going through the roof, something which I believe I've seen POTUS tweet about being not as bad as it seems to be. Yeah, humble bragging about some things going down when they're really not. Or whether or not it is because they are a colossal irresponsible thunderfeck.
Y'all, tell me why. Just, why am I still living paycheck to paycheck? Why?
Do you perhaps spend too much on Bad Dragon? Accessories are quite titillating, I hear. Maybe you tip too much at Denny's. Or do you live in an area where the cost of living is already sky high?
My job pays. Like, a decent amount of money. Like, very median, very average. But like, I should be able to live on this. This is a good salary.
Without knowing the exact number of what you actually earn, the cost of living in the area you reside in, and what the actual median is, I cannot tell you if your salary is good or if you're basing it on a median nationally, which wouldn't work because so many other states, which are basically countries at this point, have differing costs of living within their own state. Because either they are so vast or because of the disparity between rural, urban, suburban, city.
Not anymore, bitch! Not anymore! Like, I've started to dread going to the grocery store to buy tinfoil.
So I guess we can rule out you actually going out to eat all the time, which is a good thing, that costs quite a fair bit. But it doesn't rule out the possibility you might well be a conspiracy theorist who has tinfoil for wallpaper. Perhaps you're allergic to the electromagnetism of the world. Spoken while you're holding a phone in a car that undoubtedly will have electronics in it.
Because off-brand, weak-ass tinfoil is like $10.
Lol, even the cheapest of cheap tinfoil here costs like £1 at most. That's embarrassing. When I watch your president humble brag about things going down in your country, and then I see videos like this, I can't help but chuckle. In this instance, I would offer a solution. However, I would have to point out first, your president has had 2 years before losing the House to accomplish many things, and many things did not happen that should have happened. You can attribute that to things like COVID. You could say, it's all Trump's fault. I don't care who you want to blame. You've had 2 years, get on with the job. Humble bragging on Twitter, like I have seen, and many of you will undoubtedly see on social media, does not prove you're accomplishing anything. We see it with prime ministers in my country all the time. It's quite embarrassing.
I saw an 18-pack of eggs for $13.
At time of recording, $13 is £10.63, according to a Google currency converter. For that, I could buy more than a tray of 30 eggs. The cost of living in this country has gone up quite a bit, but even we are doing better than you. Although I would also add, if you go to like Iceland, you can buy 15 eggs for £1.85, meaning I could buy well over 75 eggs. How sad is that? You can make so much money, but your money is as worthless as a Zimbabwean dollar.
I walked in to the Walmart like a few days ago. I bought standard necessities. Ziploc bags, tinfoil, eggs, some lentil pasta because I can't eat the real stuff and that has good protein in it, a singular pound of ground beef, milk, eggs, cheese. Tell me why I walked out of there having spent $70.
Because you're a mug. That's the short answer. The long answer involves me pointing out $70 is £57.23. For that, I could buy the food shopping for my house for a week. We'd get a lot more than what you got. It's a bit embarrassing, really, that the state of events and affairs in your country have gotten so bad that you actually can't even afford to buy basic goods. Actual goods as opposed to lentil shite. And to those who love lentils, good for you. They're still shite. The world is tipped for a major recession, if it isn't already in one. The UK was believed to have been going into one, but I do believe our economy grew by 0.01%. Oh my god! It's stellar work. However, in the context of America, where, and I saw this via POTUS's own Twitter, you're saving $180 at the gas pumps. Now I know it'll barely buy you 3 meals.
70! My partner and I make $120,000 combined.
That is quite the flex. You make much more than I do, and yet I seem to do better than you with the minimal amounts I make from YouTube. Based on what you paid for one meal essentially, multiplying that by 365, doubling it just roughly for the sake of breakfast and lunch, let's just assume it's 1.2 additional, therefore double 0.2, it becomes $56,210 on your food. That's not accounting for your amenities, necessities, your bills, your rent, cars, any other outstandings you have to pay. Those eyebrows you draw on, I don't know. Your cost of living is shocking. It's quite the L. Have you considered perhaps moving somewhere where your $120,000 may go a little further? Or perhaps moving somewhere where you don't have to make that much money to still struggle to get by, so you can earn less but your money works for you a bit more than it does where you are in the world?
$120,000. That's good.
Public service announcement. Apparently it's not. I make less than a fraction of what you make, and I don't struggle to get by. How sad is that? Additionally, and as a query for the sake of scientific merit, what's the disparity in your earnings?
That should be okay. Like, we should be set. Took a lot of work and effort and resume building and all the good stuff to get here. Why are we both living paycheck to paycheck?
It could be for one of many, many reasons. A failed economic system that benefits some people over others. Proof that hard work doesn't in fact pay off. It could be because, as I stated earlier, the cost of living where you are in the world is just too high. Compound that with inflation and you are royally screwed. Bear in mind here, many people who work in cities don't do it to make money, because in a lot of the cities, you don't really make money because of how hard you are taxed. Or, just maybe, it could be because you don't make enough. You don't have another zero on that. 120 grand a year where I am, if I was earning that annually, yeah, I'd be set after tax especially. Give it 3-4 years, I'd actually walk away from my job. Because I wouldn't need to work. I'd have enough money in the bank, I don't have any dependents beyond a dog, and generally, we're okay. You guys though, you're fucked.
This is not sustainable. How are people gonna find a place to live?
Somewhere else, no doubt. While lots of people are making a point to cross borders because they believe in the dream of that respective country, American being the more notable, others will leave because they realize they are no longer looked after, not because of that, but they're not being looked after because their government, who would have believed it, doesn't actually serve the people. They rarely do. It's a novel concept that many have failed to grasp over the years. If it is unsustainable, it tells you you need to change your life because you know your voice is not going to be loud enough to impact the meaningful change needed politically to get them to stop shafting you without giving you at least a happy ending or buying you a cheeky Nando's first.
How are we supposed to continue to eat?
Stand in the rain, osmosis. Stand in the sun, photosynthesis. Or you go outside with those cylindrical silver things that have a handle that looks like a shield on it. You open it, and you push the trash panda to one side, and you thunderdome it over the leftover banana peel.
Like, forget about me, because we're still living. We're kind of making it. Like, it's not as horrible as it could be. But what about these young kids trying to start a life, trying to get out of their parents' house and be independent adults, and they can't?
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children who will undoubtedly still have to live with their parents until they're much older, or live in different states where it is a lot cheaper. Children, when they grow up, will undoubtedly want to move away because they don't want to be near their parents who embarrass them, and parents will not want them to outstay their welcome because turns out they want to enjoy their golden years. But it's nice that you thought of the children while saying you can still barely get by on 120k a year. You live in a city, don't you?
They can't! Paying for college has become a joke. Requirements for...
Sadly, that's where the video cuts off, so I don't have additional context on it. But paying for college has become a joke. It has been for a long time. The system itself is a bubble that will eventually burst and cripple your economy even further. The same applies to the United Kingdom. Because loans went up when austerity was introduced, the government took away the funding that then meant student loans had to go up by about $6,000 a year. It got quite painful for many, many young people. And the boundaries, as you saw in the last image, requirements for jobs have reached incomprehensible bounds. That's not surprising. The nature of the workplace and employment field does change over time because the nature of many jobs has become more technical, advanced. It pushes a lot of those that are older and unable to keep up to the side, to more mediocre and mundane occupations. Nothing wrong with that. It's called being a part or a consequence of innovation and progress. It does, of course, cause additional problems, and I will fully agree not everyone can work in an Amazon warehouse, but you'll damn well get your 10k steps a day in. The final point I'd like to add is, if life is so expensive where you are, you as a community need to rise up and make your voices very much heard. TikTok is not how you do that though. TikTok is where you go to complain into space, where bots will support you, some will agree with you, but nothing meaningful will happen because you're dealing with a whole community of introverts. Impacting meaningful change is a bit more challenging. I wish you the best of luck getting those eggs though. I might go make an omelette now, if I can find any blasted eggs.